Welcome back to the channel, fool. Share, like, and subscribe if you like videos like this.
This is known as Mozart's Masonic opera, written in the last year of his life, and he did something that he knew his Masonic brothers would attend, and that non-Masons would come out of curiosity for what the Masons were about. And he thinly disguised a Masonic initiation ceremony in this opera. So as part of the Masonic initiation ceremony at the time, the candidate goes through these 4 elemental tests: earth, water, air, fire, to prove to the brethren that they have the right balance of these 4. And of course, we see these in the second act of the opera. Tamino's going through the initiatic process, and the first 2 are earth and air, and then he does fire and water subsequently.
So this opera is called The Magic Flute. I imagine there's quite a bit to unpack there.
Freemasonry is all about harmony. That's why geometry is the central symbol of Freemasonry, because geometry measures the harmony in the universe. There's a principle in theology, it's called hypostasis. We can never know the divine, we can only see the work of the divine. And because geometry measures the harmony in the universe, geometry therefore becomes the symbol of the creator of that harmony. That's the whole point of Freemasonry. That's really the whole point of this opera.
If you didn't know, Mozart was a Freemason.
She's a mother and sells real estate for a living. You to meet Jane. Jane is a party girl who likes to drink, is boy crazy, and spontaneous. I'd also like to introduce Cleo. Cleo is an ancient Egyptian woman who has superpowers and resurrects people. There's Christina. Christina is religious, considers herself a saint and a prophet. Finally, let me introduce you to Urban Gangster. He is a male rapper who likes whiskey and ladies. Jerica says she never knows which program will appear. Now, she has lost custody of her daughter and had to take medical leave from college and now isolates herself from friends and family.
After multiple tests, I was finally diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder. I began first having panic attacks because it was very scary, people calling me by different names.
I want to know if Jerica came with you.
Don't ask where she is. Seriously, don't wake her up.
Why did you come here?
She came here, like people looking at me. Don't.
So who's here now?
Don't say anything. I'm not allowed to talk. At one point since this started, I've had over 15 different jobs. I can't keep a job because different programs show up to the wrong ones and I have to hide them from my co-workers. I lost primary custody of my 5-year-old daughter a year and a half ago because of my disorder.
And what about she's just channeling different energies without knowing?
Have you guys heard about Omar Odavi? This is him on this chair. Scientists are trying to study his blood type and the metal content in his blood, because for whatever reason he attracts sea life. They don't know if it's mercury, because he does have a high mercury count in his blood, but whenever he gets close to the ocean, animals are automatically attracted to him. They don't know if it's the magnetic field, they don't know what it is, but you can see here they were trying to do a control group study where there was another guy that went on the beach in this chair and nothing came, and he sits and all these sharks come, and you can see that there's some stingrays in there. It's quite incredible. I wish that, part of me wishes that I had this ability, but it does come with its downside. He has really poor circulation to his hands and his feet, so he constantly has to have them warmed and have heat pads on them. And Everest is out of the question because they would freeze off right away. But quite cool.
Hey, whatever it is with him, what you want is the opposite. Demons are in the house.
This whole thing was fictional, and I love you guys. I just wanted to say that I love the government, and the government loves me. This will be the last VHS tape I sent for a while. I'm staying with some new friends I made. Under the authority of the Department of Homeland Security, detention is indefinite. And I just want to let you know I'm okay.
Here's a little tour of my place. And this is my living room as well as my bedroom. As you can see, I am on a nice king-size mattress, hybrid couch futon.
At least I get to keep the camcorder, ironically.
Let's check out my bathroom. Sometimes I will stand here and think for hours. So I have been here, I don't know how long. I just set the tripod. I have no access to a lawyer, no access to the internet, no phone calls. I'm completely cut off. And this right here is my waterfront view.
I still keep getting the headaches, and my skin's not okay from that night. Let's just say I'll see you soon. Okay, we got this. I love you guys, okay? Endlessly.
Come on, let's go. I'm coming with it.
And what about the camera guy? That's a good fiction.
Breaking news, a man who had been missing since Friday was found deceased inside of a Planet Fitness tanning bed. They have now confirmed that the 39-year-old did go into the tanning bed on Friday morning and was not found until 3 days later on Monday morning. Family members say that his aunt reported him missing on Friday. She said he was wearing an ankle monitor that helped investigators determine that he never left the gym. A woman who was at Planet Fitness that morning before law enforcement showed up said that she and other members noticed a foul smell in the building. And that foul smell got worse as they got closer to the tanning beds. A witness said, quote, "The tanning bed has a door, I believe, but still, why were they not concerned that the tanning bed had been closed for 3 days?" When Planet Fitness was asked for a comment, they said that they are investigating a death at the location, but they did not elaborate on the circumstances. This is a local franchise, and they said they are looking into what happened with the franchise owner. Since the occurrence, there has been a sign on the door saying, quote, "Tanning is currently unavailable." However, the gym itself has been in full use. The quote, "loving person," and they hope to see stricter policies on cleaning. And to stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
And this is unbelievable. Hey, someone needs to get fired.
Okay, let's see if I can get a video of this discovery. I need it to focus, though.
And what's the bucket for?
I'd say you're looking at a 3 to 4 year old male, and you know it's a male because there's no red on any of the tentacles. You do want to stay back, mating season, these guys will.
And who's ready to play Jumanji?
We also found something to this day. There's not one scientist that can figure it out.
Really?
We think it's a wormhole.
What?
Yes.
So you saw something go in it?
No, come out of it.
Oh, come out of it.
And not just one, multiple things.
Whoa.
That opens and closes, and multiple objects coming out of it.
Crazy.
Yes. And also what we did to make it very scientific is we triangulated. From 3 locations, we were capturing data.
That's crazy.
I know. And then we had radar validate the cameras exactly in that location, showing these objects come out of that hole.
But where is the footage?
Daily SF gang, what the fuck, bro?
Shut up!
What the fuck is bro up to?
Man, get off that goddamn car. You messing up the traffic, man. Hey, get off the goddamn car. No. A lot of people are gonna do it like that. Stop the traffic.
California again. Why am I not surprised?
On this block, they don't have a single operating hydrant in case of a fire. Take a look. One was taken last night and the other taken on Thursday. Thieves are turning off the water first and then literally unbolting the fire hydrants and using their vehicles to knock it off and haul it away. And it's not just here. Sheriff deputies told neighbors they've seen the same thing happening in Linwood, where multiple hydrants have been taken there too. In more recent years, there's been an uptick in catalytic converter thefts, copper thefts, and now I guess fire hydrants. Only this is putting the whole neighborhood at risk.
Speechless.
A bizarre scene unfolded at Miami International Airport when a passenger attempted to check another man wrapped in green plastic as baggage. The duo approached the check-in counter for LATAM Airlines, where the shrink-wrapped man was carefully placed onto the luggage scale. Airport staff were quick to step in, reminding the pair that wrapping services was strictly for baggage and not people. The passenger argued that checked bags are cheaper than a second ticket.
Wait a minute. He's self-identified as a luggage. How dare the airline deny these rights?
It's damaged.
Car is damaged.
Where?
Right here. If you want to see, you can come over. Why are you hitting my car, lady?
Because it's not damaged. You Would you tell her to get away from me? She's crazy.
Just took me to,
It's not damaged.
I mean, usually what you're supposed to do in an accident is we exchange information.
You are crazy.
Is she driving away?
Yeah. Just like that.
I got it.
She did exactly what the shop was going to do.
Oh, hey. Yeah, that just knocked him over. Damn. Oh, and he got a... I'd have shot there. I'd have shot there, my man. I'd have been the first time he got paid.
Oh, dang. He got up like Michael Myers. Wait a minute, is this dude calling dinosaurs?
He talks about ayahuasca and he like shows how they make it and like what it does. It's literally two elements. It's the ayahuasca root and then this leaf. And either or, if you took it by themselves, wouldn't do anything. It's only combining them that you get the full DMT trip. So like, how were they taught that? They were told that it was a lady called like Mother God. That's what they like basically call her. She came and showed the people how to make this. So when she left, it would be the way that they could communicate with her.
Oh no.
And he talks about these entities that teach the people things when they take this ayahuasca.
Yeah, and I guarantee one of the things that you have to reject is God.
Yeah, which goes further down the thing of like the Watchers and like they taught root cutting and like why did they teach root cutting and all that stuff? And it's like because I fully believe that there is a realm that you can access by taking like DMT and stuff like that. That is
so. Is there a connection, a way to communicate through every work that they taught?
Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
Listen, I knew about the ayahuasca, but didn't know about the extra spices. They might take you somewhere and you might not come back. That was savage.
I am absolutely speechless at this setup right now. I mean, I get being a DIYer, but on an avalanche, dude, you just built a whole ass apartment? What the fuck?
Can't make that up. He even has an upstairs balcony.
Oh, yes, I got you a gift.
Thank you very much.
I got you a gift, Mike.
You want a pigeon?
This is a pigeon from Southeast Asia. Very expensive, but I wanted you to have this.
Thank you, Jake.
How do you feel about that?
Huh?
You like Mike's love pigeon? How do you feel
Yeah, I
about that?
do. It looks like a low budget pedigree. But
We paid thousands of dollars for
This is
that.
an expensive pigeon.
I've just never seen someone handle a pigeon. Boy, he belongs to you now.
I'll feed him to my falcon.
Oh.
So that's food for your falcon?
Yeah.
This is getting interesting.
Are you really gonna feed him to your falcon?
Yeah, but I can't take him with me. There's no way I can take him.
Well,
pleasure meeting you, bro.
Nice to meet you. You can come with me, buddy.
Bro tried to play mind games with the Grandmaster.
The nutty conspiracy theories is like, oh, there's a bunch of files in Hollywood, and you're like, come on, that sounds too kooky. And then you see like the Nickelodeon thing and all these, you're like, what the f-? How much of this is real?
There's a lot more real than I think people realize. If someone's like a file, they're gonna go for a target-rich environment.
Right.
Obviously.
Like that Jimmy Savile guy from the UK.
Man, that guy was some next level. That was next level. And the BBC tried to hide that, like, basically child rapists of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah. And looked like one.
He looked like one.
That's
like,
what's
honestly,
crazy.
if you had a poster of like, does this guy look like a
Look, the creepiest looking
evil
guy.
evil child rapist? Then that 100%.
Made it to the grave. Like,
Yes.
got away with it.
Yes.
Got away with it till he died. They hid it from people until he died.
Yes.
The whole thing is about to blow up.
This woman is a real-life cyborg with 52 electronic implants, and she can even open a door lock with the touch of her hand. When Anastasia Sin implanted some magnets for her magic tricks performance, she didn't know she'd love the feeling of electromagnetic field vibrations. This motivated her to increase the number of implants over the years. Anastasia has magnets in her ears that allow her to hear Bluetooth calls inside her head, like built-in earphones. Over her heart, she has a microchip that plays her wedding video when scanned, and the one in her knees opens the front door of her house when her hands are busy. She has an implant of her husband's ashes in a heart-shaped locket, and when scanned, it opens his memorial. She also has a temperature chip under her arm and implants in her hand and thigh that call her daughter and 911 in case of an emergency. With so many implants, she can even detect if a microwave is leaking too much radiation, depending on how her hand vibrates. But all this tech comes with a price. Anastasia can't get an MRI, and passing through metal detectors is quite a challenge. To ensure her safety, she checks her implants from time to time, or even removes them due to their experimental coatings.
Don't ask me why.
I've been watching Ancient Apocalypse. So Graham Hancock's whole theory is that there's a highly advanced ancient civilization that we don't know about. This whole second season is about these ancient civilizations that predate what archaeologists think people occupy the Americas. And one really cool instance that connects so much to what we've talked about before. There's these paintings on a rock face in Colombia, and the archaeologists have dated these paintings to like, I want to say like 12,000 years ago.
Yeah.
But they describe what looks like the solar eclipse, and with the solar eclipse they could see a meteor. And so that reminded me of 1811, of how there's that meteor, and then what we just had was that solar eclipse with a devil comet. But it's like they wrote that down to show that there was about to be an apocalyptic thing that was about to happen. Archaeologists said that there had to have been hundreds of thousands of people living in this area, and then one day just gone. So what happened to them? No one knows. And every day within the Amazon they're finding more and more structures and roads. At one point there was millions of people living in this region.
Yeah.
Very technologically advanced.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that everything happening right now has happened many times over and over again?
A shocking case out of Richmond. A man was declared brain dead and was prepared to donate his organs, though hard to believe he was in fact alive.
He was then thrashing around, crying, trying to pull his tooth out. He was pushing everybody's hands away that were trying to prep and drape him for surgery.
And I'm still wondering, was that planned?
All right, and what's this? This is a Louis Vuitton duffel bag.
Did I turn it?
20 something, a lot.
I got a lot of questions. How did they approach you?
There was this kid, his name was Darkness. He was 15, and he broke into a satellite. Instead of deleting the logs, he accidentally deleted everything on the machine, like completely screwed up. And the administrator of that machine, his name Black Dog, and he came into our IRC chat, and he was like, "You're all like, all of you, they're after you, like, you don't understand." He even put this site back up, and he had, like, edited the stuff that we edited, so he redefaced our defacement, but he said they know all about you, and he knew way too much for it to be a troll, because sometimes, you know, obviously we'd be messing with each other. Logs on from a, you know, you could see the IP address that he'd logged in from, and it was a NASA Gov one, and he was like, you know, you should probably contact them before they contact you. And so I called, yeah, and I just basically said, I'm... Whitey Cracker, I heard you're looking for me.
If you think they don't watch you in the dark, think again.
Let's do it. I'm giving just a little of current. The power, the screen went off. It's dialing something. It is shining so brightly. What hell's going on? It's still working, can you hear it ringing? It's an electric wind storm. Okay, I'll try to switch it on. It's still working! Hooray! It's even got a message. Right, he had missed a call. The connection is working. Can't believe my eyes. I just turned it on after all of this. Hooray, Nokia made it!
And after that, the battery will run out in the year 4000. That was hot on the stove.
You're saying that NASA figured out that we're actually living in these sort of civilizational cycles that we really have no control over. They're kind of these hard resets.
Exactly.
Maybe we're headed towards one right now.
And in order
they're
to
hiding it.
And in order to cover it up, they blocked all knowledge of the binary star companion so that that whole cycle would not be understood.
That's insane.
Is it though?
I don't know. I mean, I need to.
If there was an asteroid,
details,
and I'm not saying this in an apocalyptic way, because I would actually, the next part of this is we should talk about how I believe we may be able to prevent that.
Okay.
But what I mean is, if governments knew about a giant asteroid coming towards the Earth or a comet, would they tell everybody?
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Widespread panic.
Sure.
Complete society collapsing.
And you're of the opinion that this dead star is headed towards the sun now.
Yes.
And so, do you have, based on your
cycles of what we see in ice cores throughout Antarctica and Greenland of a consistency?
And what's your model of how much time we have left based on that?
We're right in it right now.
So,
very interesting how consciousness seems to rise at the same time that the sun starts to emit more energy. And this gets into, again, lost civilizations, what they knew.
Why are all the elites building underground bunkers?
Obviously, they knew something, because we find out that the ancient Sumerians actually correctly identified the 9 planets, showed the reasonably accurate comparison of their sizes, and this was several thousand years before the Egyptian civilization. So the further back you go, the more there was knowledge. It also depicts Uranus and Neptune, and Uranus was not discovered until 1781, and Neptune 1846, and Pluto not until 1930. Of course, poor old Pluto now, he's been relegated down to some kind of semi-planet. They don't consider him a planet. I guess he's just back to being Mickey Mouse's dog. The story goes that there was a planet called Tiamat, a giant watery planet, and it was in between Mars and Jupiter. And at some time in the long distant past, there was a war in the heavens which can be translated one of two different ways, either as a genuine fighting war that took place probably in more recent times, or as an allegory as to what had happened millions of years ago, which was a rogue planet called Nibiru, known as the planet of the crossing, which goes in an elliptical orbit around our solar system. Comes through an estimated every 3,600 years. And when it comes through, it's dragging along moons and asteroids and meteors. And by the way, y'all aware that we just got hit with some meteors here in the last couple of days? I mean, you know about Russia, you know about Cuba, you know about San Francisco, okay? Yeah, it may be starting. And some people claim this is, of course, NASA says, oh, well, they're not connected, you know? Oh, okay. Others say this is Nibiru that is approaching our solar system, is pushing its way, its magnetic field is pushing its way through the Oort cloud, which is the asteroids outside our solar system, and that it's pushing things and it's speeding around. I was picking up stories and sticking them in my files about scientists that were saying they discovered a 10th planet, okay, in the solar system. But here's one from last year, May. A yet undiscovered planet may be orbiting at the outer fringes of the solar system, according to new research. So what I'm telling you is not just fairy tales. So it could be that those ancient Sumerians knew what they were talking about. So the idea is that Nibiru swings through on one of its 3,600-year orbits, dragging along some moons and other things, and one of them smashes into Tiamat. Okay, half of Tiamat is pulverized but remains in its orbit, and this is what we now know as the asteroid belt. I don't think that should be any big surprise to anybody. I know when I was in junior high school and was learning about the asteroid belt, my first thought was, well, God, that's a planet that blew up or something, you know, and it's just still there in the same orbit. But you may not have heard is that the other half of Tiamat was knocked out of the orbit past Mars and went into orbit between Mars and Mercury, and over millions of years coalesced into the Earth. So that's where the Earth came from, and the moon was one of these moons that accompanied Nibiru and became our satellite. This is a pretty far out theory, and yet it answers a lot of questions about where the comets came from, these dirty balls of ice that are flying around all everywhere. Well, they're pieces of Tiamat that are still there. Where'd all the asteroids, where'd the asteroid belt come from? It answers all of that. And this is what was written down in the ancient Sumerian tablets. So then we look around at other things going on in our solar system, and it even gets stranger. Carl Sagan says that the Phobos, one of the two moons of Mars, exhibits characteristics indicating it might be hollow, and that a natural object cannot be hollow. So in other words, it may be some kind of, I sort of say man-made, but it wasn't us, but it was made by intelligent design. And that's not the only one. We've got Iapetus. This is the one that really knocks me out. It's one of the moons of Jupiter, and look, it's got this mountain ridge that just goes right around the equator. Now, I've seen lots of mountain ridges. I've flown over the Alps and the Himalayas, and you got mountains, but they never go in a straight line. This thing, look at this. It's a ridge that goes around there. It reminds me of the wall on King Kong Island, you know. And then when you look at it, it's got this huge sunken area. I don't know if that's a huge crater or what. It's got this line that runs across it, and it looks just like the Death Star. And it gives indication of being hollow. So there's the theory that it's a hollowed out asteroid or a fabricated type body that was used to travel through the universe. It's also known as the yin-yang moon because its configuration, when it's in part shadow and part life, it looks like the ancient Chinese yin-yang.
Very informative.
A man immediately stops what he's doing to record this video, as it was just now that stuff started moving.
I've noticed things in this flat for quite a while, but this is the first time I've kind of actually seen things move. It's one of those horrible situations where you kind of want to off. I'm actually shaking a little bit. Sorry for swearing, by the way. And like this, yeah, this isn't like attached to anything. Like there's nothing attached to it. Like I haven't kicked it. I haven't moved anything.
Time to sage your place, my bro.
We have mummies in Alaska all the way to Ohio. They found 3,000 mummies in one cave in Kentucky, and they just burnt almost all of them. They used the mummies to burn because they needed to heat up the rock to collect it, to mine it. So they were just burning these mummies. That's what was happening. At least 3,000. And they had high dollar investors who were buying the really special one, probably the ones that were covered in ornate inscriptions. They're finding not only giants, but crazy stuff that no one has an explanation for. And looking at them here in 2023, it definitely, I think the timing couldn't be better to facilitate people seeing what these people were writing about 150 years ago or more.
We are going to stumble upon the truth, and it takes usually X amount of years, and this is when they start looking at, I don't know if they can trigger a reset or if they just happen to coincide, but all this information is coming out. Imagine what 7 more years is going to look like.
Just seems like unstoppable at this point. It's just what's the damage going to be?
Was the U.S. the ancient Egypt?
In 1745, the Count of Saint-Germain was arrested on suspicion of being a spy. The Count was a mysterious man. He could speak every European language and even languages from around the world. Despite being fluent in so many languages, he refused to reveal where he was from or his true identity. He was quite a talented individual, with skills in singing, composing music, and playing the violin. Boris Walpole, the Prime Minister's son, even wrote about how amazing the Count's musical abilities were. But what struck people the most was that although he appeared to be about 45 years old, no one had ever seen him before. During his imprisonment, the Count shared detailed information about historical events that only someone who had witnessed them could know. His jailers found him incredibly peculiar. At that time, foreigners in England were being imprisoned simply because they were foreign, but somehow the Count of Saint-Germain, without revealing his true name, age, or birthplace, was set free. News of this strange man quickly spread, and people were intrigued by his ability to speak all languages, compose music, and talk about history as if he had lived through it. When the Prince of Wales heard these stories, he became curious and wanted to learn more about the Count. He sent for him, but to everyone's surprise, the Count had vanished. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. Now let me tell you another fascinating story. When soldiers returned from the Crusades, they brought back tales from the East. One of these stories was about Cartaphilus, also known as the Wandering Jew. Legend has it that when Jesus was carrying his cross to Calvary, he stopped to rest, and Cartaphilus told him to move along. Jesus responded by saying that Cartaphilus would not rest until his return. As the years passed, Cartaphilus watched as his friends and family aged and died, while he remained eternally young. He was destined to wander the earth until Jesus' second coming. This story was considered nothing more than a legend until 1228, when an Armenian bishop claimed to have had dinner with a strange man who spoke about history as if he had been there. This man called himself Cartaphilus. For centuries afterward, Cartaphilus was sighted in the Middle East and then Europe. It seemed as though the wandering Jew was moving westward. And then, one day, a mysterious stranger arrived in Paris. He dressed elegantly in all black, adorned with diamonds, and introduced himself as the Count of Saint-Germain. When the Count of Saint-Germain appeared in Paris, he made an instant impression on the upper class. Nobody knew where he came from or how he acquired his wealth. He became a highly sought-after guest at dinner parties. His musical talents, conversational skills, and knowledge of various subjects amazed people from all walks of life. He spoke multiple languages flawlessly, and his historical knowledge was unparalleled. When asked how he knew so much about people who had been dead for centuries, he simply smiled and said, "I was there." He even claimed to have met Jesus Christ personally, but the Count's talents didn't end there. He was also a skilled alchemist, claiming to have discovered the secret of the philosopher's stone, which could turn base metals into gold. He said he had found the elixir of life, which explained his youthful appearance. One of the famous philosophers of the time, Voltaire, described him as a man who knew everything and never died. As the Count continued to impress and amaze people with his talents, one person recognized him from their encounter 50 years earlier. Countess von Georgi remembered meeting the Count in Venice in 1710. She couldn't believe that the man she had met all those years ago still looked the same age. He even shared details of their meeting that only someone who had been present could know. Word of the Count's extraordinary abilities and appearance spread far and wide. He was sought after by kings, emperors, and even philosophers. He was said to have influenced historical events, aided in alchemy experiments, and foretold the future. Yet, despite all the sightings and encounters, the Count always seemed to vanish without a trace. So, was the Count of Saint-Germain a real person? He most certainly was. Countless eyewitness accounts and historical records confirm his existence. But was he truly immortal? That remains a mystery. His ability to appear throughout history looking the same age has baffled scholars and skeptics alike. While some believe he possessed extraordinary powers or had found the secret to eternal life, others dismiss it as mere legend or exaggeration.
To be honest, this will make a great miniseries on Netflix. My 2 cents, but it seems they're melted.
You have Neil Armstrong said he personally picked up a particular rock, put it in his pocket, and saved it for the Prime Minister of the Netherlands.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Who he gave to, right? And they put it in a hermetically sealed box. The curator saw my film, says, oh, I wonder about that. He, in the middle of the night, they expected no one would open it up. He opens it up, puts the rock under a microscope, and it's petrified wood, kind of this eerie, out-of-the-world looking.
That's a fact.
So unless there are trees growing on the moon, then it's a fake. In fact, there's a story, it says moon rock proves to be fake, that Neil Armstrong picked up and personally delivered. But no reporter asks, so if the moon rocks are fake, what about the moon mission?
Okay.
6 weeks before they allegedly go into the moon for the very first time, somehow with that deadline, von Braun, former Nazi, takes a leisurely vacation in Antarctica.
Yeah, that's a fun
where
one.
he picks up, dozens of pounds of lunar meteorites. I wonder what they use those for.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you.
Think about this for a second. These lawsuits, accusations that are surfacing, and suddenly we have the golden boy of Hollywood tangled up in the middle of it. Just a few weeks ago, most of us probably thought DiCaprio was only concerned with his environmental projects and his glamorous dating life. It's almost hard to believe. Is this the same guy? But here's where things get particularly unsettling. We're now learning that, reportedly, a well-known Scientologist was there, videotaping everything. Ethan Suplee, the guy who many thought of as a harmless actor. But that's not the story anymore, is it?
The story of an actor on a hit TV show, a member of the Church of Scientology, and 3 former church members who say he raped them. Danny Masterson, best known for his role as Stephen Hyde on That 70s Show, which aired on Fox for 8 seasons, ending in 2006.
The way this is all shaping up, it seems more like an underground network, a circle of powerful people doing unspeakable things. And yet, they're being recorded by their own so-called friends. Ever wonder what's keeping all these people in line? It's not just money, it's power, it's control, it's blackmail. What does that say about DiCaprio, a man whose entire persona is built on being untouchable, the good guy, the passionate advocate for climate change? Could there be a darker side here, hidden from the world for so long? Now we're seeing reports from people with first-hand knowledge, and they're painting a picture that's disturbing, to say the least. The details, and believe me, they're disturbing, involve DiCaprio and an unnamed 90s actress. You might think you know her. You've probably seen her countless times on screen, but the scenario described is anything but glamorous. Imagine this, DiCaprio, surrounded by a group of his friends, all watching a well-known actress doing things on a bed while a camera rolls, held by one of the Scientology insiders. And the question that's lingering in everyone's mind, How many of these recordings exist? Who has them? And why? Even Brad Pitt isn't a fan of the guy.
They are about to drop the mixtape of the year. And that's a wrap for today, fool. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit and smash the like button for me. Smash the subscribe button, be part of the family. Remember, stay woke, and I'll catch you next time.